Transaction cost theory. What is transaction cost? In economics and related disciplines, a transaction cost is a cost in making any economic trade when participating in a market. Transaction costs are expenses incurred when buying or selling a good or service. Transaction costs represent the labor required to bring a good or service to the market, giving rise to entire industries dedicated to facilitating exchanges. The costs associated with exchange of goods and services are incurred in overcoming market imperfections. Transaction cost can be further divided into three broad categories. First, search and information cost. Second, bargaining cost. And third, policing and enforcement cost. Transaction cost theory tries to explain why companies exist and why companies expand or source out activities to the external environment. The transaction cost theory supposes that companies try to minimize the cost of exchanging resources with the environment, and that companies try to minimize the bureaucratic cost of exchanges within the company. Companies are therefore weighing the cost of exchanging resources with the environment against the bureaucratic cost of performing activities in-house. The theory sees institutions and market as different possible forms of organizing and coordinating economic transactions. However, if the bureaucratic costs for coordinating the activity are higher than the external transaction cost, the company will be downsized service.
According to Ronald Coase, every company will expand as long as the company's activities can be performed cheaper within the company than, by example, outsourcing the activities to external providers in the market. And according to Williamson in 1981, a transaction cost occurs when a good or a service is transferred across a technologically separable interface. Therefore, transaction costs arise every time a product or service is being transferred from one stage to another, where new sets of technological capabilities are needed to make the product or for example, if a company is thinking about outsourcing its production of a given product, it may assess the cost related to such a transaction with the environment. If the company sees it as difficult to formulate a contract that controls the uncertainties related to the exchange, the company may regard it as as too costly to outsource the production. This is because the transaction cost of monitoring the exchange are perceived to be higher than the bureaucratic cost of performing the activity in-house. Managers must therefore weigh the internal transaction cost against the external transaction cost before the company decides whether or not to keep some activity in-house or, to example, outsource the activity to the environment.